There we go. Phase, phase 1. So I'm in this phase of kind of barely transitioning into a calorie deficit. There's no need to jump crazy gung-ho, instant like starvation. It's really not going to do you much good. So these next few weeks are kind of just essentially letting off the gas of having to eat a whole bunch of food, and instead basically approaching what my real maintenance calories are, which for me, because I think I have a pretty normal appetite in the sense that it's actually directly related to how much energy I need to keep doing everything. Someone with a low appetite is going to stay a little bit on the skinnier, leaner side, and someone with an extra big appetite, more food than they need, they're going to be a little bit softer, because for them, eating a ton of food is just, that feels normal for them. So for me, I should be in a minor, well, even just eating maintenance for the next few weeks will kind of begin to taper off my weight a touch. And then the rest will just be waiting. Right? I mean, it's not quick, but this is what, the 4th dieting phase that I've actually, brought you along with and really recorded and showed off. And the sucky part is, in the beginning, it's kind of, I don't want to say the hardest, but the least enticing to start actually peeling down. Let's say you've been working out for a while, you've always been a little bit more bulked. I wonder what I look like lean. What do you think of when you think dieting? Okay, you think calorie restriction, cardio. Most people already hate cardio anyway. It's going to take a while. I got a million things. But it's always, oh man, it'd be so cool to be lean. It'd be so cool to have, see my abs and my quad cuts and everything else. But, I just don't really want to deal with doing it, So the fact that that's the case for, I'd honestly say, probably the majority of people, that makes it cool if you can swing it and you can actually manage to get it done. Because now you're doing something that a lot of people are just willing to go through. And it's not even the hardest thing ever. Especially if you make it easier on yourself by eating in a specific kind of way that'll maximize your kind of subjective fullness feeling, so you don't feel like you just have to slam food 24 hours. So if I'm eating a bulking meal and it's just, let's say a full sugar barbecue sauce on ground beef and rice, especially the sugar added, I'm going to have a pretty swift insulin spike from all the blood sugar, and then I'm going to be ready to eat later. By the time I've done, a month, 2 months of this off season, if I even ate like 100 grams of carbs of some kind of sweet, it's going to hit me extra hard. Like if you ever talk about somebody how they have a sugar crash, if you chill out and you eat a lot more kind of slower digesting, longer complex carbs, I'm talking leaning more oatmeal, leaning more, honestly, oatmeal is kind of my favorite. Just especially doing the instant packs, just because they're a little easier to do, then it's just going to make you feel fuller for longer. That was my thing back when I did gymnastics. All these coaches would always be talking about how they want you to eat a big bowl of oatmeal beforehand, because you're sitting there, it's like a track meet. You're there for hours running around doing shit. You don't want to eat while you're doing it. You're going to feel like you're going to throw up. So having kind of a steady meal like that usually just works a little better. So instead of trying to eat as much food in as small of a size as possible, now I'm trying to eat, as much filling food in as large of a size as possible. Right? Totally kind of backward. But the lifts will not change, because sure, if I'm not eating a lot of food, my peak strength will diminish by whatever degree over time. But my approach with the workouts is going to be the same exact. And nothing's going to change. I'm still going to bring it. I'm still going to try to get as pumped as I can. Depending on the set, lift as much as I can for 10 or 12 or whatever. But that's just going to be dependent on whatever your strength level is. If you tell somebody to do a heavy set for 15, that's real failure. A guy who's 300 pounds and a guy who's 120 pounds can both do that. It's just going to be different weights. So sure, the weights will decrease, but I'm not going to lower the weights just because I'm dieting. It's more so my overall strength might be changing, so I might end up bringing back the volume and maybe dropping some extra intensifiers, but nothing too wild. You know, it's still coming in, getting a pump and leaving. You know, if you can think about it like that, it's a little bit less daunting to really lock into. At least if you're talking to somebody who's never worked out before. Right? It doesn't have to be this whole thing. You know, lifts can be kind of chill in the sense that when you know what you're doing and you're comfortable doing it, shit, man. I can say this with certainty. It's a fun part of my day, that's for sure. But yeah, let's just get in there and get back started today. Let's start with some light squeezing, wide grip rows. Now, I do emphasize light, even though this is the stack, as we're aware. The stack on one of these pullover or kind of just adjustable cables, it's stackable for a pulley movement, that's for sure. So I really want to get a good kind of burn and hold at the top, because I can only get that good of a just burning squeeze with lighter weight. Because I mean, if I was doing that row with 5 freaking plates, I could move it, but even just getting into position is basically as much as I can do. With lighter weight here, oh goodness. But with lighter weight here, I can actually get it all the way back and then some. And that little extra squeeze, whether it's physical or just the mental feeling of sending those signals, that's going to prep me for the rest of this lift as a good starter. So let's make it happen. Okay. Ooh. Okay, I think actually 2 more of those, and then I'll move on to something else. In terms of mid-back, that is freaking nuts. Yeah, so pullovers will be good. Sometimes I'm in a pullover mode, and then sometimes they don't click as well. They're clicking good today. A little lighter than I could move so that I can actually squeeze at the bottom. Definitely a movement where sometimes weight is not the end-all be-all of a good set. Heavy squats are. Like a real heavy set for like 10, that's good. But this is more of a squeezing kind of burning activator, if I had to describe it. One more. All right. Okay. 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 Now let's do a pull down. Where the hell did my phone go? Oh, there we go. All right, now time for a classic pull down. So 220. How does that feel? Let's go a little heavier, do 240, but not the whole stack. 60 pounds short. But this will be a good one. Yeah. Okay. One more. Okay. Ooh. Okay, I know what to finish with. All right, some double arm, kind of pull down slash rows, long D handle style will be perfect. I don't know who I first saw do these. I remember it was like kind of a long time ago at a Planet Fitness. I tried them and they work. Not only just as a movement do I like them, but there's also this just extra squeeze that I get on like my deep inner lats. Like where they form that triangle of your Christmas tree over your erectors. I feel this a lot in there, you know, so it's like, let's just say it's worth that in the mix pretty frequently. Oh. Okay. All right. Okay, let's post down. Yeah, it is hard to beat natural light. You know, as much as we talk about like half natty lighting or goon lighting or just the perfect sort of spot in your gym where the guy who like was the architect said, there's gonna be some poses happening right here. It's perfect. Except, well, just the angle here, I'm very happy with. But let me do a quick little check, make sure I'm in focus. Yeah, there we go. So even just a lat spread through the shirt right now, I'm feeling like a total freak. I mean, I'm not even fucking flexing. I'm just like, this is just a standing position with a lat pump and they're already poking out the freaking side. But let me try to hit one extra wide. Oh, nice. But let's actually see what we're looking like. Yeah, very nice. So fast forward a little bit of extra UV, a little bit less adipose tissue, aka body fat underneath, and these pose downs are going to start to look extra freaky. even more so than already. Yeah, that right one is getting close to the point of like actually filling in the gap of forearm to lat, which with a lat pump, I guess that's something I shouldn't be too surprised with, but that is definitely what I want to see. Ugh. Oh man. Yeah, so these back poses will look extra freaky once I'm a little leaner and even unpumped, but being able to see all those extra little like eye looking things between my shoulders and my traps, I was feeling that a lot in that wide grip, lighter upright row, because instead of a low row where like I'm feeling a lot of lats like kind of pulling down, having a wider grip with slightly more flared elbows, I get to kind of really squeeze in here. Like I'm trying to get my elbows to touch all the way behind my back as though they could spin all the way around. You know, of course they can't, but that's what I was kind of aiming for. You know, let's get a couple more and then get ready to get out of here. Okay. Oh, yeah, that's a good one. Let's roll. Nothing else to say, but I gotta eat something and then get ready for arms tomorrow. Hopefully a skin-splitting pump, if I'll ever have one. That lift was straight out of the freaking jungle. It was humid in there. It was storming like crazy last night. I tried to stay out and watch a little bit of a meteor shower that was going on, and I did see one really good one. I'm talking like maybe like a 10% stretch over the sky. Like if this is this horizon and this is the other one, it was a good, pretty long freaking streak. If you've never tried to sit outside, or maybe you live in a town that's just like crazy bright, like a real city, I'd tell you something, I'm not jealous, because it is cool to get a real night ass freaking sky. And it's been a little extra dark for me, so they're cool. So if you've got enough space, just go hang out one night. For a while back in, it was the last summer before I was working for the city, I'd just basically be totally nocturnal, and I'd stay up like crazy late. I'd just lay out on the porch, and I'd just be listening to random ass like podcasts or YouTube videos or something, but I was really sitting up watching. It's July, August is usually pretty active, at least where I'm at in the, well, I guess it's probably the same everywhere, right? Because the freaking Earth just spins around. But something about that portion of the year, end of summer-ish, we must fly past some sort of asteroid belt, and they're a little bit more prevalent. I'm not really one to wish on them, but if I was, then I'd wish for a badass back pump, which I got today. Very nice. But yeah, I'll plot, maybe not, I should probably just buy a big ass chart and plot my weight, because I've got a pretty good grasp of it where I don't have to sit and track it every day. Like I know, okay, I was 261 this whole last week and now I'm 263. What the hell happened? Like I can kind of gauge it pretty well like that. But tracking it's cool, because if you watch yourself like plot morning weight maybe once a week, maybe every day, just whenever, as long as it's in the morning in the same state. So for me, I think my most accurate like trackable weight is before eating or drinking anything in the morning, after going to the bathroom, because that's a very consistent, repeatable kind of measure, right? I mean, you can get your height after you just laid down, or maybe you were like, hanging yourself upside down from your feet. You're going to be an inch taller, right? So that's an extra variable that's going to come into play. But right in the morning, that's a real accurate weight. Like, it's stupid to get yourself on the scale with clothes on after you've eaten a bunch of food. You're wearing shoes, you've got your phone in your pocket. Your phone's a freaking pound. It just doesn't make any sense. So that's something which could kind of suck. Somebody might weigh themselves in the morning and think, holy crap, I'm 210, nice. And then that night, they could be 218. you know? And it's like, what happened? I gained 8 pounds. Oh man, it's just food and water, right? Don't stress it. But yeah, as long as I jump on the scale every morning, the same scale, you know, different scales might kind of jump around back and forth. That's a good indicator of just how things are going. But even though this is technically day 1 of dieting down, not much is really changing yet. I don't feel like it. I don't feel lean, you know, or I don't feel leaner than before, but it'll kind of just gradually sort of change. But I won't actually call this a new season yet. This will be a little bit of just a kind of in-between zone. I've been thinking about backing off from doing these daily videos to maybe more like a 3 times a week, just because there's so many, you know. I mean, it's not going to be long before I will have posted like the 1,000th lift, you know. So it gets a little bit easy to repeat myself. So I think definitely over the course of time, soon-ish, not today, but soon-ish, I'll try to flip between quantity and try to up the quality. You know, I'm talking getting a little bit of other kind of activities in there too. But that's something that I see a lot with. This is sort of me talking from my with putting my fitness influencer hat on. Is, you know, guys I'll see them in the workout space, and then they just start posting a bunch of nonsense that's not even related to working out at all. And like, I get it, you know, there's a big kind of draw for being like fitness adjacent, if you know what I'm talking about. Like a lot of LA guys, you know, the ones that go to like some of the more popular gyms, like they might not even be going in there to work out, but it's a little more of like a social hour, like just kind of for fun, which there's a place for that, of course. But, you know, my whole thing is working out. That's what I want to talk about, right? That's what I want to kind of show off. And wouldn't it be weird if like tomorrow I started doing like, imagine if I dropped everything and tried to do like a political podcast, and that was that'd be nuts, you know what I'm saying? So as much as there's a way to like gamify posting, as far as I'm concerned, I want to just keep it simple. You know, the working out's what I want to talk about. It's what I'm into. It's what I want to hear about, especially in the stories and the feedback from you guys. Like, I think that's a good spot. But yeah, so if you're getting a little curious about peeling down, now might be the time to do it. I don't see why not. You know what I'm saying? Some guys will they're acting like this is the biggest decision of their lives. Like they're trying to pick like which college to do or which major to go into. Like, oh, do I bulk or do I cut? Like, this is for the lifter who's lifted for a while. He knows what he's doing, and he could benefit from either. You know, he could probably bulk up a little more, or he could cut down and get a little bit leaner for a while. And the way I look at it is, well, it doesn't really matter. You know, whichever one you do, you're gonna switch to the other one like 4 months later. You know, so if you're catching yourself like, oh, do I do this one or no, I don't know. And if that period of like kind of limbo between not knowing what to do lasts longer than like 3 months, then if you would have just jumped on a bulk or jumped on a cut, and you know, and I'm not saying a huge cut or a huge bulk either. I'm just saying get a little beefier or get a little bit leaner. If you wait that long, then you really wasted that time, because you could have done one or the other, and then you'd actually, you know, have kind of made some progress. And what I mean by that is not as though someone who works out is a better guy because they're making more progress than the other dude. You know, this isn't like a hierarchical kind of thing. What I'm talking about when it comes to, you know, progress in quotes is just making a change to yourself so that it's noticeable enough to tell that what you've been doing has been working. Like, there's a point to working out just to maintain a baseline level of fitness, which I think everybody should be doing. But to maintain a baseline level of fitness, that doesn't take much. You know, it doesn't take a rocket scientist or a team of exercise physiologists to keep a dude in decent shape. I mean, that takes like, you know, going to the Y 3 days a week and actually like really breaking a sweat for real and having a normal diet. You know, like if your goal is just stay in solid shape, it's not as tricky, right? But if you want to make the gym your thing and you really want to kind of push the envelope a touch and say, yeah, I was locked in, you You know, if somebody came up to you with a polygraph and said, have you been locked in the last 6 months? How many people, let's try to break it down as people who are in the gym and they do want to get gains. They want real results. They're not joking, like they do want them, but they haven't, you know, maybe they haven't really been bringing it. What percentage do you think would actually pass that polygraph and say, for real, yeah, I've been locked in. I've been making progress. I'll show you my calorie tracker app to show you that I've been tracking it. I mean, let me look at this. It's on a pretty big day. I think I'm on, yeah, I haven't plugged in all my calories for today yet because all I had was one kind of beefier meal earlier. But yeah, day 1,550 of using the same calorie tracking app, right? It freaking works, you know? But if that's the case, you know, and maybe your goal is like, oh crap, these guys have been working out for so long. How can I get like that dude who's been working out for 2 years? Well, before you can be the 2-year locked in guy, you got to be the 1 day locked in guy. And then you got to be the 2 day locked in guy, and then 3 days, and then 4 days, and then 5. And, you know, if you stumble, if you get out of your routine a little bit, or maybe you slow down or you take a break, that's all right. You're not screwed. You know, the problem would only be if you really give up. You know what I'm saying? So it's not a horse that you can never jump back on. But you've only got so long to ride, if you get what I'm saying. And that's true for everybody, right? I mean, it's this is a badass quote. It's remember when Joe Rogan was talking about the voicemail that he got from David Goggins, and he's like, as soon as you were born, it made you eligible to die. That's funny. But yeah, I'm not joking, man. It's true. You know, so the sooner you can get on it, the better. And not even just like in a results kind of way. I promise you'll just feel better. So let's say you're, honestly, there's probably a chunk of you guys who match this exact description. 210, just enough body fat that maybe you can't see your abs like super well. They're still there. You've got some forearm veins, but you know you could be a little leaner. And you've been a similar weight for a while. That's your cue, right? I want to see, and I see them all the time, you know, as though you may not think it, only a couple people tag me in their Instagram stories every day. Like I can scroll through and I see who tagged me. It's like 15 people, you know, so if you tag me, I'm going to see it. So every time I see 30 minutes of cardio done, awesome. Right. Every time I see a transition of like leaner or bulk to lean, like I really locked into my dieting phase, they're showing me like a meal where it's like I track that shit. That's the kind of stuff I want to see. I got to make sure I repost those on my story a little bit more because I definitely love seeing that. You know, so next time you're doing cardio and you post and you tag yourself doing it, I will see it. I'll try to spam a bunch of those probably later. Well, I don't know. Then how many people are going to post themselves doing cardio and they were lying and it's just a picture from like someone else and they're just trying to get a reaction? I don't know. I'll try not to think about it like that and just take everybody for their word. But that's the plan for tomorrow morning. Quick 30 minutes in the basement. Yeah, 30 is a good start. I'll keep it at 30. But over the course of this diet, I will definitely up my cardio game a little bit more. What sucks is I'm a little bit too far from my city to ride my bike into it. But yeah, I think I gotta start busting at the bike too. That's a really easy cardio. Plus I could maybe get a little bit higher level than Pokemon Go. If you're next to a walkable city, that is an awesome summer hack at least. I know it's a little past summer now, but biking around, shit. I mean, when I was biking to class at school, dude, that was very easy to stay lean. Especially because I was always late to class or late to tests and stuff. So every time I'd actually get packed up to go, I'd have like a 5-minute bike sprint like twice a day just because I was late for something. There was one time I wasn't doing my cardio very consistently, and this is like the middle of winter too, and I had a class as far into the campus as possible for where I was, uphill, and it was like a big ass test too, and I was ready, like I was prepped, but I left late, and I was sweating in there too, because now I'm like going full speed on a bike uphill, you know, shifting gears. Big ass winter jacket on because it was like 20 degrees. So my fingers and my ears were freezing off, but I'm like drenched through my shirt. Yeah, no, the bike is good. I got to get a new bike. Damn. My last, no. My last year? Oh, it might have been my second to last year. Yeah, because my senior year I kind of spoiled myself. I got an electric bike, which now Mark has at the house, so he can zip around. But, yeah, I should have just had the pedal bike. But what I did was I left my bike outside of my apartment, and I didn't lock it up ever, just because, like, I didn't lock it once and it was fine. So I kind of got this confirmation bias, like, I don't have to lock it. Like a total fool. And then this was finals week of the first semester, so it's like the middle of winter, and I come out, the bike was gone. Somebody planned and executed a pretty good heist getting that thing out of there, because it's right at the end of the semester. Everybody's leaving town, and I didn't have a Ring camera. Not good. But yeah, I guess all I have to do now is get one with stiffer shocks, just so that I don't waste energy pumping the suspension up and down. But yeah, I guess that's all I got. Cardio in the morning, and I'm gonna try to get some sun tomorrow, especially before it starts cooling down. I wish it wasn't so hot these last 2 months, or else I would have been out a little more. But what are you gonna do? And I'm not gonna go into a freaking sun tanning bed, because that's just popping yourself into a freaking microwave. As much as people are gonna dog in UV rays, I think the sun isn't getting you as bad. I think you're kind of asking for trouble doing the tanning bed. But you tell me if you know anybody who had a crazy ass bad tanning bed experience. But either way, I will see you for some arms tomorrow. Day 1 of this dieting phase complete.